Okay, so this is some research findings from my recent master's. So it's going to be a bit performative. I do have a background in arts, so just getting into the zone. Amazing, thank you. The vegan clan, it all began, as theses often do, looking at the literature, reading it through and through, searching for gaps, a unique contribution, voices unheard from the vegan revolution. I realised that the rhetoric had no Scottish perspective, void of a vegan feminist point of view. Linda Crimbicus laid some ground, but was the only other Scottish scholar I knew. Yet, as I wandered through Dundee, Edinburgh and Glasgow in the summer just after my degree show, noticing everywhere I would go, speciesist and sexist messaging that I could not ignore. Suddenly it existed so much closer to home. Suddenly Scotland was a place I didn't know. Stereotypes and assumptions remaining strong. And it was these gendered anti-vegan perceptions I wanted to explore some more. Scotland the brave, the bonny, the bold, with stereotypes as daft as they're old. Scotland the proud, the patriotic, with traditions so outdated, it seems ironic that Scotland's considered such a progressive nation, yet most folk get absolutely raging at the vegan clan, the legume-loving lobby. Yet they love Highland cows, Nessie and Greyfriars Bobby. A culture that's rich in speciesist, sexist slang, calling women birds, ending sentences with man. Bagpipes and ballads, Angus beef and burns, but mention veganism, and oh, how the table turns. Pushy, preaching, imposing, extreme, uncompromising, unwelcome, uncomfortable, obscene, a nuisance to Scotland's proud reputation, daring to question the meat-fed nation. So what does it mean to be vegan and Scottish? To reject ideas of traditional nonsense? To eat the neeps but hold the haggis? To proclaim how absurd eating animals is? It's a self-identity that's hard to measure, especially I found in the healthcare sector, where surveyed respondents noted that when it comes to conversations, it's best to be silent. Pick your battles, save face. Their veganism met with discomfort and disgrace. Our vegan identity, so often concealed, carefully select to whom it's revealed. Maybe there's a fear of public shame, so often vegans are called vicious names. Or maybe it's the heavy politics of that single claim, I'm vegan. And Scottish media would have you believe they've got vegan men repellent up their sleeve. One newspaper, The Scottish Farmer, took things even further, publishing a poetic parody, Ode to a Vegan, equating eating habits with ideas of gender. They can tell if you eat your steak rare or your broccoli tender. Oh, but it's only banter, you'll hear them say. But oh, on the contrary, misrepresentation, mass mockery. Silage munching, the article says. Likening vegan men to livestock in this way, an attempt at taking their very humanity away. And vegan women, I'm afraid, don't get it any better. To be seen as feminine is to be deemed as lesser, a sentiment justified by the oppressor. The non-vegan women in my survey said they look to us, they expect to be led. Role models for good health and good eating habits, placing additional pressure on vegan masses. In our image-obsessed patriarchy. Hourglass only, no time to waste. Measure your patience and measure your waist. Exemplar bodies, in an image-obsessed society that forgets vegans appear in variety. Diet culture, mass media wait like a hungry vulture, ready to rip us to shreds with their quills, keyboards and talons. Double discrimination for vegan women, shows sexism in Scotland is still looming. Sarah Sheridan wrote of this in 2021. Just 4 statues of women in Scotland exist. Queen Victoria is one. On the contrary, no discrimination felt in relation to the non-vegan lifestyle, never finding themselves as unwelcome as an avocado in an orange pile. How easy must family gatherings be? Tea, scones and status quo, with no one questioning, where'd you get your protein though? And a phenomena I'm dubbing the omnivorous default privilege, catered to everywhere they go, be it large city or small village. So the rule is simple, clear as day. If you must talk vegan, do it this way. Make it about climate, make it about health, but talk about ethics and silence yourself. Confirmed by colleagues across the field. In 2011, Colin Morgan, 2017, McInnes and Hodson, Greenbaum and Dexter in 2018, Riley and Wren more recently have seen how media control the narrative from behind the scenes. It only matters, apparently, when human lives are put in play. Any animal suffering conveniently gets hidden away. Comfort over accountability. And I consider myself a creative with cause, standing up for those with wings, hooves, fins and paws. Art is an extension of my academic practice, more than self-expression, flipping research findings on the axis. Poetry, collage, ballad-style song, disruptive, subversive, powerful and strong. Non-traditional methods mirroring non-traditional identity, making my paper perhaps as peculiar as my Scottish female vegan belonging in all its complexity. From the Jacobites to the suffragettes, Scotland has not been afraid yet to stand up and challenge systems of power. We've been leaders with plant-based peace treaties. The evidence couldn't be any clearer. So we do need change, and we need it now. Maybe the next rebellion isn't on the battlefield, nor tied to Parliament gates. Maybe the next rebellion has already started. Maybe it's right here on our plates.
Yeah, that was amazing, wasn't it? Gosh, well performed, thank you. Would there be any questions to Lauren Marie at all about the performance, the Scottish media stereotypes of veganism? Any relevant questions, of course. Thank you, anyway. Sorry, you just be honest. Yeah.
What differences then, if any, do you see between the way that vegans are portrayed in Scotland versus any other part of the UK, or the way that vegans identify in Scotland versus any other part of the UK? What's the kind of main points you there?
That's such a good question, thank you. I think that it is pretty consistent. I'm sure that up and down from the research that I've read in the UK, there's a lot of the same kind of stereotypes placed on vegans. I feel like in Scotland, there's a lot more banter culture, and I feel like it's a lot more, it's just taking the mick out of, you know, it's seen as like, you must take this joke, you know, vegans don't have a sense of humour anyway, so you must accept this mockery that we place on you. Yeah, I understand that that is felt in other parts of the UK, but no one has really looked at Scotland so much. So I thought I'm going to see if how that does compare to our English relatives or, you know, other parts of the UK. So yeah, I think that's the main one. And also our diet is like deep fried everything, right? So another stereotype. So the idea that you would eat anything other than deep fried Mars bar is pretty out there. And we're just seen as this other type of entity in Scotland. I'm sure you could vouch for that. Yeah.
Thank you. Niamh?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. I thought that was a beautiful, powerful, evocative performance, and you brought a lot of important things to the surface. You said that you use, I think, disruptive methods
methods for disruptive identity. Just interested in what methods you used for this, because I think that you said that this is part of your master's thesis, what methods you used, and also where this research might take you in the future. Is there any future research or direction that you'd like to take?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, the methods that I used where I created a lot of I love poetry anyway, and I find it really easy to make poetry. So I discovered that ballad singing and songwriting in Scotland was related to women, Scottish women particularly, and it was a way for them to voice and storytell. But there was a lot of men who got credit for a lot of the songs that they wrote, a lot of men who cover it with their voices. So it's taking that female voice, female Scottish voice, and suppressing it. And I felt that using poetry and ballad could be very disruptive in that way, because traditionally it belongs to Scottish women. And I thought, what a great way to use my Scottish vegan feminism, to look at that. And also I made lots of collage. Collage traditionally is disruptive in how you make it anyway. You're ripping things up, you're reimagining things. So it kind of, for me, it was conceptually mirroring sort of how we disrupt society as vegans do. Yeah, thank you.
Any more questions at all? Yes.
I have a question. You mentioned the thing about people bantering and how that, I feel like this is so often happening. People will say these they're very bad things, but they'll go, oh, it's just a joke. Do you have thoughts on what is an effective technique to come back to banter, as it were, that actually does help us move forward, and isn't seen as an angry vegan, but is a good response basically to banter?
Oh, that's such a good point. Thank you. I think I thought of that in my undergrad. I was making a lot of vegan artwork. A lot of it started as quite provocative and quite graphic and explicit, and I justified it by saying, well, if you want to eat that, you should see how it's being done, And the minute I injected more humour, I dressed up, I made really grotesque outfits and stuff, and went into the green screen and had fun myself, I kind of faced burnout when I just used graphic imagery with people. So the minute I injected humour into it, people were willing to talk to me more. And I feel like humour is such a strong tool to just break the ice and kind of ease into difficult conversations, I think it's the whole meme culture and everything, something so memeable, instantly. I feel we should take advantage of that and just be light and challenge what they say that we don't have a sense of humour, And that's kind of how I've done it. Yeah, thank you.
Brilliant, thank you. Any more questions? Yeah.
Not so much a question, but I also think, I appreciate the performance, so thank you for that, Laura Marie, but I think there's also, it's incumbent upon men or people of any gender to call out the banter or misogyny or whatever it is when they see it, and not just let it slide by or feel that they can't say anything, because I think we have to be allies and pushing against it, and we don't do that as often enough as we should.
Yeah.
One more question, if that's okay?
That was wonderful. Why do you think Scotland wasn't elected? And what next?
Oh, I never answered that. You had asked me that, sorry. I'll go backwards on that. So next, I hope I'm allowed to say, I just found out this week that I'm going to be doing a PhD in veganism and vegan. So I'm really excited for that. Thank you so much. And in terms of Scotland being missed out, I think we're missed out in a lot of things. I think we're seen as this little nation that just take from the crown. That's a whole other issue. That's a whole other thing. And veganism kind of feels like that. You feel like you're taking something away, or you feel that you have to kind of be very careful in who you show your veganism to. And I just thought, there's all of this research that's been done, and I wasn't seeing Scotland included in it at all. And it just made me, as a Scottish vegan, be like, oh, no one's talking up for me. No one's considered how we experience it is slightly different, in our society. So I don't know why we weren't considered before, but I hope to be a trailblazer in it and recognise us more and produce more fun performances expressing research. Yeah, thank you.
So thank you, everybody. Great questions there from everybody. Amazing performance again, Lauren Marie. And thanks for attending the conference, and take care of yourself. Thank you, everyone. And another round of applause.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.